Hello, everyone. So there's this question out there. Is it harder for men to date? And I know you're thinking, is it harder for men to date than it is for women? And that's not what I'm talking about. I know people automatically think this is a men versus women comparison, and it's not, because let me tell you, it's not easier for women to date because a lot of women are dating these men who are out here who are single, and that in itself is a struggle. What I'm talking about is it harder for men to date now than it has been in the past? And I have to agree that it is harder for men to date now because the landscape of society has changed so much for women that women are not looking for the same things in men that they have been in the past. And men are still using the old playbook. Men still believe that they have to be providers, that they have to be just financially stable, and that's it. Pretty much that's it. That's what men think. But that's changed because society has changed. In the past, women had to look for providers because that was a survival instinct. In the past, women couldn't have jobs. They couldn't have bank accounts. They couldn't own property. They couldn't own businesses. They couldn't even rent property. So survival as a woman was dependent on finding a man to provide financial, stability. Now that women are working and society has changed and women are taking care of themselves, women have changed in what they're looking for in a man. And what they're looking for is companionship. And a lot of men don't understand that. And companionship is not something that men have traditionally thought of being for a woman in the past. So they're really struggling with this idea of companionship. And companionship, listen to me, fellas. Companionship means you have to be likable. And a lot of men are not likable. Men are very much struggling with this idea of likability, which women have had to live with forever. Our social conditioning has made it so that women think they have to be likable all the time so they don't upset people, they don't hurt people's feelings. Men, not so much. Men have been socially conditioned in a completely different way in the society. And so likability is a whole new thing. It's a whole new thing. I have to be likable. What does that mean? Well, it means that you have to have personality traits that don't make people dislike you, which means you can't be emotionally unstable. You have to be able to be able to control your temper. Like, a lot of men do not have control over their tempers. They don't, like, the whole emotional well-being goes right over a lot of men's head. And the mental well-being, a lot of men don't get therapy and are not dealing with their traumas, and women don't want that. The other thing is that men have been socially conditioned to rely on the labor of women, and that means labor in the home, labor everywhere, just everywhere, not just in the home, but like just being able to know that something in the house needs to be clean and cleaning it. That emotional burden, that emotional labor that women put into the household. Men expect that from women, and women don't want to. We're not giving that anymore. We're not giving that anymore. We expect to have a companion who understands when to change the toilet paper roll. Like, those are the things that women are looking for. We're looking for men, I should say, independent men, because men are so dependent on women in this society. So these changes have been very difficult. At the same time, some changes have not happened. For example, men and women are still socially conditioned to believe that men should approach women first, that men should be able to initiate contact and initiate a conversation. Well, a long time ago, that was more frequent because there was more social interaction. But now that we have the internet and social media, the ability to initiate a conversation is in person is especially difficult. A lot of people do not know how to have a conversation one-on-one with someone in public that they don't know. So a lot of men are struggling there. At the same time, though, more than ever, men have access to women they never had access to before because of social media. All you have to do is send a DM. That's crazy because that takes very little effort. And so now men are able to access women that they can just be a little brave at home behind a screen and send a message. And the problem with this is it makes access to women too easy through dating apps or social media. But at the same time, it doesn't really build genuine interest. Men have access to so many women that they can send hundreds of messages to hundreds of women in a very short amount of time. And that means that they're not really interested. They're just looking for usually sex. And that's the other thing that men are not getting. That, they have always looked at women as sexual objects. And women know this. And it's not like women don't like sex, but when men are dating, they don't know how to stay focused in the moment and not drive to sex too fast. And that's a big turnoff for a lot of women in this time. So, in conclusion, on all those points I've just made, it is harder for men now to date because they have to figure out how to be likable, how to talk to women in person, which they've never had to do before, which is very difficult for a lot of men, how to hold a conversation. This is just so much more different from like past generations. Past generations, you just had to be able to look like you could take care of somebody. And now you got to be able to look like you can take care of yourself. You know what's going on in the world. You know how to treat a woman. You know how to approach a woman. But you know how to just be in your space and take care of yourself without becoming a burden on another person. So, yeah, it's harder, fellas. I get it. But you better figure it out, or else you're just going to be single, because the women are okay being single. They're very happy. They have lots of companionship. But the male loneliness crisis, you better figure it out. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. And peace, guys.